Nico, let's start at the beginning. Saturday, 25th of September 2021. What do you remember?
Remember playing game against Birmingham. I've been on for a couple of minutes, was hitting one of the Birmingham players, and then my knee was just so unstable. At that time, as far as I remember, I was quite sure it was a muscle injury. At that point, I didn't think about knee or ACL or anything. It was first then when I came out, went into the treatment room, Connor saw me and the girls came in and was like, "We're gonna be here for you no matter what." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm gonna be back next week." But then when I settled down and everything, muscle settled down, I could feel that it wasn't potentially a muscle injury, but more something in the knee. And then I kind of knew what it was.
Was there an aspect of denial, potentially?
Yeah, probably.
So you rupture your ACL, you go back to Denmark, and also in your final year of your contract at the time. Were you worried? Were you concerned?
Yeah, of course I were. At the same time, and that's kind of how I approach situations like that and trying to approach life in general. I couldn't do anything about it. It had happened, and everything I could do was just trying to push myself to the limit every single day and trying to get back as quick as possible. When it happened, my clear goal was still to make it to the Euro squad in the summer. So hopefully the plan was at that point to get back playing before the summer, which I hope was my time to improve, that I was good enough to stay for another year or signing a new contract. So at that time, I was trying not to think too far ahead and just trying to be in the moment. But of course, I was worried, and you never know like how or what's going to come, and especially not in football.
That period in Denmark then, what do you remember?
Probably the worst 3 months of my life so far.
I think people forget how mentally tough football is. Like, it's the best job in the world and nobody can deny that, but I think it still comes with mental struggles, and I think performing at a high standard every week and putting pressures on yourself week in, week out, day in, day out is obviously tough. So I said to her to make sure that she switches off and enjoys family time.
I said it when I got injured as well, that I was so happy I had no clue of what to go through. And I'm so happy I didn't know what to go, that was waited for me, because I think that I've been more scared knowing than unknowing.
Just told her that everything happens for a reason. I think when I got injured at the time, it felt like the worst thing in the world, but looking back, it was probably one of the best things that happened for me.
Mentally, I think Nico's been fantastic. She's always had a smile on her face, even though she might not have been happy or she might have been stressed about things. It's, you know, I never would have known that. Like,
I've sometimes texted you when I get back home. I was like, sorry for being in a bad mood today. And Connor was like, I didn't notice.
You're in Denmark. You're doing your rehab with the Danish FA physios. But Connor comes out and sees you. What do you remember from the visit?
He was flying over and was coming in with me doing a training session with the physio I was with in Denmark. And he could see where we were. But as I said before, I was not in a good place. And both physically and mentally, I wasn't in a good place, and I was really struggling with especially the range of motion was a big struggle. And yeah, I think I was still smiling and trying to be happy, but I was struggling.
Nico's the one that's put all the hard work in. I've just been there helping her, getting her through her gym and her pitch. So, you know, I'm not the one that's got her to this point. It's all been Nico. It's going to be a a big moment when she's back on that pitch.
But Connor's more nervous than I am.
Yeah, maybe.
So to go back home and do your rehab and have that support close by with family members, that must have meant a lot.
Yeah, that meant everything to me, and that was the exact reason why I wanted to go back. As I said, I've never had surgery before, so for me it was important that I kind of understood everything that was going on around me, and I knew I would understand everything completely in Danish. And at the same time, I needed to be around my family. And the plan was then, when I was starting to go on pitch after 3 months, I had to be back here and do it here. But then things changed, and I had a second surgery in January, and we had to kind of start all over again. But we didn't know that obviously before.
That must have been frustrating though, to go back to square one.
Yeah, I think, as I said before, me being too positive is, like, I thought going into that surgery, I was just about to get some scar tissue removed and then I would be all fine. I'll be out running on the pitch a couple of weeks later. Normally you can break scar tissue and it won't be a problem, but my scar tissue had calcium in it, so it was starting to get like bony. And then I remember waking up after the surgery and got the journal where it has that description of what they've done, and I was like, they suggested 4 to 6 weeks more on crutches, and I was like, they must be kidding, like no way. And then it wasn't only 4 to 6 weeks, I think it ended up being closer to 10 or 12 weeks. That was really hard to get through, especially because all I wanted to do was just to push, and I kind of knew in January after that surgery with so many weeks on crutches that I had no chance of coming back this season or for the Euros.
What was that like to accept?
So hard. And it was hard to accept that even though I've done everything I could, I was training 3 times a day, I was training hours every single day, and it just wasn't enough. And I couldn't do anything about it. And it was hard for myself to accept that at some point it just wasn't good enough, but it was just not because of me, it was because of some other circumstances and reaction in my body I couldn't do anything about, but it was hard mentally to accept that I couldn't do anything about it.
Could this injury have ended your career?
Looking back at it, yes. When I was in the moment, I wasn't thinking about it. Like, when it happened, I was like, yes, I'm gonna come back stronger. And I think the moment I realized it could have potentially been career-ending was at one point when I was back on the pitch and had a discussion with Connor, and we were just talking about the process as we've done a million times before, and he was like, you know what, if you didn't have that second surgery and we haven't MR scanned you and seen all that scar tissue I've built up, if we waited a couple more weeks, we potentially weren't able to get it out. So I think I realized way far ahead, looking back, it could have been career ending, but in the moment, I think I've been like way too positive throughout the whole journey. So I've been like, oh yeah, I can easily do that, and I can easily do this. And looking back, I can see it wasn't that easy.
I want to bring you some breaking news now. It comes from the WSL, and Everton have reached an agreement for Brian Sorensen to become their new manager.
Brian, as you say, knew you as a player. He's got to know you as a person, and he's brought you into that captain's group. How much has that meant to you?
A lot. I think it's always nice to be acknowledged and to be a part of a leadership group, and of course it means a lot to me, and even though I wasn't a big part of the team at that point, football-wise, it meant a lot to me that I could try to help and push for things maybe on some other points and help the team and help the girls. So yeah, it meant a lot to me, and it still does.
On another figure, I suppose, that supported you a long way on the men's side, Andros Townsend, he unfortunately was ruptured his ACL as well. Talk to us about the relationship between you two.
Yeah, obviously he tore his ACL a bit later than, I think he tore his back in April. And I lived in the gym at that time and he started to live in there as well. So we had quite much time together and was going through not the same complications, but I think like both physically and mentally we were struggling and we were both struggling a little bit with the strength and was kind of just talking about how it is to be sidelined for so long and how his plan was of return to comeback. And we've had each other throughout the journey and it's been nice to see him as well and see how far he's come. Then I remember one time he saw me and he was like, "Oh, you look so good now. The knee looks so much better." And because you see it every single day, you get blind. And I remember a couple of months later, I saw him and I hadn't seen him for a couple of weeks and I was like, "Wow, your knee looks so much better." So it's kind of nice to have someone that goes through the same.
Hello, hello.
A little bit nervous, a little bit emotional, a little bit of everything, but yeah, feeling really good. I'm just really excited, to be fair. Really good. Enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, first one done.
We're talking about people who've obviously helped you along the way. A recent one, Tony Duggan. I don't know if you remember, Tony was who you subbed in that Birmingham City game. And, you know, she was there at the start and then she's been here at the end. What's she been like with you throughout this journey?
She's been unreal. She's been such a support and we've had such a good time. And yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget the moment where she told me about she was pregnant and going into the Anfield game, it was quite hard for me because I thought that I'd potentially be back for that game. So, and that was one of the one I've been looking forward to the most, playing at Anfield against Liverpool. And so I think Tony kind of knew that day was a little bit tough for me. I remember we were walking around on the pitch on Anfield and she was like, "Nico, can I just speak to you?" No, we were on the way out to the pitch and she was like, "I need to tell you something." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." I thought it would be something about something in the gym or on the pitch or... And she was like, "Can we just go for a walk?" And then she took her jacket up so no one could see her mouth and she was like, "I'm having a baby." And yeah, obviously, like, tears in our eyes, and like I was just so happy for her. And most importantly, I could see that she was so happy, and she's just such a good person, and I'm always happy when I'm around her. And she's unreal and has been such a good support, and I'm so thankful for the part of the journey she's been a part of.
Nico Sorensen will be back from her ACL for the first time in the matchday squad. Yeah, Nico has been great, and gonna be so happy for her to to hopefully get her first minute this week, and everybody around it feel comfortable that she potentially can get back on the field. She's a top player, so really looking forward to that.
Have you dreamt about your first appearance of the season?
Yeah, of course I have. And it's something I've been looking forward to for so long. And I can't wait to take that kid back on. And Ruth, our kid manager, the other day sent me a picture of she would put in my number and my name on the shirt. And it just made me so happy. And finally I'm here. And as we spoke about earlier, it was never given that I was coming back and playing football. So I'm more thankful than ever and appreciate it more than ever, and I don't think I'll ever take it for granted again. So yeah, I'm so excited.
After over a year out injured, how did it feel to step on that pitch again wearing an Everton shirt this evening?
Oh, it felt unreal. A moment I've been waiting for so long, and I've definitely taken my time, but it has been worth the wait, and I'm just so happy, finally.
Do you feel stronger?
Yeah, I do, but it has taken its time. Mentally, I feel a lot stronger. Physically, I feel a lot stronger. And now it's just a matter of combining the two, so I hopefully feel as strong as I've ever felt. And I feel way stronger, way wiser than 14 months ago.